terrible weather. You've got to think the weather. You pick the right day. Is there bars and restaurants up there as well? Oh, there aren't. Oh, wait. Yeah, so I believe now that there are bars and restaurants as well at the top. It's only about £7 or £8 more than the London Eye. And I think the Shard, really, you do get more for your money. But still, the London Eye is very popular, and I'll tell you more about that later. Looking left and right, the name of this bridge is engraved into the stonework. The most historical river crossing over the Thames, London Bridge. It's actually the 4th London bridge to span the river here, and that one was opened in 1973 by the Queen. The first one was built there nearly 2,000 years ago by the Romans. That's the 4th London Bridge. But through the bridge, and for the children, for the boys and girls, to our left, through the gap in the buildings, you'll see a small pirate ship. That pirate ship is a replica to Sir Francis Drake's Golden Hind. And Sir Francis Drake was the first Englishman to sail a ship around the world. He did so on a boat identical to that. The replica now there as a museum, and again, another good place for the kids, the Golden Hind. Just in front of us as well here, the first railway bridge that we go under is Cannon Street. Cannon Street station up to the right. As we go through the bridge, if you look to the right, there's a row of windows. Look through these windows, and if you're lucky, you might see semi-naked people. Oh, there we go. Now that is a relaxation room for a health spa. They thought it was a good idea to hide it under the bridge. They thought it was a good idea to put in one-way glass. What wasn't a good idea, they put the glass in the wrong way. So we can see in, he can't see out. Gentlemen, believe me, some days are much better than others. It can be very frightening at times, believe me. Sometimes go around in circles. And also there to your left, folks, there's a lovely pub. If you're looking for somewhere to go and have a few drinks or a bite to eat, the Anchor Tavern. Parts of that pub date back to the year 1615, and it is said that the likes of William Shakespeare and his actors would have used this famous riverside pub. It does prove very popular on a nice afternoon. You can see they've got the umbrellas out there. There's no one sitting there today, but on a nice day, that whole river wall to our left just fills up with people visiting that pub. Southwark Bridge that we're going under, and staying to our left here ahead of the boat, there's a round white building with a thatched roof. That is the replica to William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Opened in 1997. If you look on the roof of the building, there's a red flag, and that red flag indicates to us, the public, at some point today, inside the Globe Theatre, they will reenact one of Shakespeare's famous plays. Now, I spoke to a gentleman a couple of days ago, yesterday, who got off the boat. He had been to watch a play with his wife, and he said they only cost £5 each to go and watch this play in the standing area. The seating area, it's probably a little bit more expensive, but still I think that's a very reasonable price for a couple of hours entertainment in London. Now folks, I wouldn't go today. The Globe Theatre has an open top roof, and when it rains you will get wet. You're not allowed umbrellas inside either, so save it for a nice day, go and watch a play in the Globe. But now in front of us, one of the newest bridges in London is the Millennium Foot Bridge. You probably know it much better by its nickname as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. Opened on a Saturday morning in the Millennium year by the Queen, and closed the same afternoon by the police. That's because the bridge, it was wibbling and wobbling. They've now fixed it, and it is safe. Now follow the bridge to the right there, through the gap in the buildings. It does ruin a lovely view of St Paul's Cathedral. St Paul's Cathedral stands above London at 365 feet high. It took 35 years to construct, and it was all designed by Christopher Wren. St Paul's definitely worth a visit. It's a bit late today, but if you're here next Sunday, if you get a chance to go into St Paul's, it will be free of charge. On a Sunday, there will be a service taking place, and it is free to enter. So, yeah, if you're about next Sunday, come back and have a look at St Paul's. In complete contrast to St Paul's, there's a building back on your left there with a tall chimney. That's the old Bankside Power Station, which has now been turned into the Tate Modern Art Gallery, the largest modern arts gallery in the world, and that is also completely free to enter. So if you do like modern art, that's the place to come. Coming up in front of us, this marks the halfway point of our journey, a group of bridges. These are the Blackfriars Bridges. Bless you. The first one that we go beneath is the Blackfriars Railway Bridge. As you can see, on the bridge there's a lot of work taking place. They're actually making the bridge wider, and if you look on top, they've built a new station. This project so far has taken 4 years. When it's complete, it will have cost £500 million, and it is due to be complete for the Olympic Games, which have been and gone. So it is slightly behind schedule, but still a massive project. Through the bridge, left and right, we have, mainly to your left really, you'll see these red columns. They're the remains of the first railway bridge in London. The top part of that bridge became unsafe. It was lifted off 25 years ago. They could not remove the columns. If the columns were pulled out the ground, there was a very good chance that this bridge would have come falling down. So all those columns were left for safety reasons. And the third and final bridge that we're now going under is the Blackfriars Road Bridge. So we're halfway into our journey now. Is everybody still happy?
Yes. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
good to hear. Through the bridge though, the lovely building to the right with the green sloped roof is the old City of London School for Boys, and that's where some of our previous and current top MPs went to gain their early education. Next door to it, the red brick building that kind of resembles a church is Zion College and Library, and that's a school for the clergymen of London. There are lots of rare religious books inside that building, and one of the rarest, one of the most popular is the Queen's very own personal Bible, all inside that building to our right. Now, at the moment, folks, it's just gone the high water here in London. The tide has now started to drop. There is a rise and fall of tide on this river between 20 to 25 feet. That's about 7 or 8 metres. So we do have very powerful tides on the Thames. And if you came back here at low water, you would actually end up, you wouldn't see none of the cars there to your right on the road. You wouldn't see the traffic. You just end up looking up the river wall. That's how much lower we drop. Look on the wall to the right. The high water mark is the green or the dark moss line. Just above the high water mark there are green lions' heads. Now years ago the lions' heads, they were used as a flood indicator. Local police were told that if the tide ever reached the lion's face, they had to issue a flood warning. Now the police also had an old saying that some of you might have heard, and the old saying goes, when the lions are drinking, London is sinking. That's right, there we go. If you haven't heard that, there is another saying which goes, when the lions' heads are ducked, London is flooded. Hasn't really got the same ring, has it? Of course, the first saying's very true. When the lions are drinking, London is sinking. Also here to our right, the large white ship, the Wellington, formerly a frigate that patrolled the coast of New Zealand. It is now permanently moored in London as a meeting club for sea captains and ship owners. To become a member of that club, you have to be in command of a ship at sea for 20 years. Now it's a very long time, but a very exclusive club. On the River Thames, now we're members of a much older club. That's the Company of Watermen and Lightermen. Now, to become a captain on the river, we all serve a 7-year apprenticeship. And our licences on this river date back over 400 years, and that was during the reign of Henry VIII. There's another ship as well there to your right, the old St Catherine. That used to be the royal barge on the river. And if a member of royalty ever travelled on the Thames, that's the boat they would have used. It's now moored there as a bar and restaurant. It's called the Yacht at Temple Pier. Very exclusive restaurant. It's so exclusive, I've never seen anybody on there, but I've seen some lovely old pictures of that boat. It was very nice years ago. The modern building to our left with the flashing sign on the front is our National Theatre. Inside that building there are 3 of the best theatres in the country, but unfortunately for many years in a row that building was voted to be the ugliest building in London. But as the old saying goes, you mustn't judge a book by its cover. Inside there are 3 lovely theatres. Also here, something that might interest the ladies is the bridge that we're now going under. This is Waterloo Bridge, known in London as the Ladies' Bridge. And that's because it was built by ladies during the Second World War. And that's when the men were away fighting for king and country. So well done to the girls. And that is the longest bridge in London. It's the 2nd longest bridge over the river. The first being the Dartford Crossing, which joins Kent to Essex, about 25 miles behind us. Now through the bridge here as well, look ahead of us to the right, just on the river wall in front of us, there's a stone column. Now that is Cleopatra's Needle. It is the oldest thing you will see today, because Cleopatra's Needle is actually older than London. It was made in Egypt 3,500 years ago. It was given to this country about 200 years ago. That was to celebrate Nelson's victory over Napoleon at the Battle of the Nile. But that's the oldest thing you'll see today, Cleopatra's Needle. And also now in front of us, ladies and gents, the last bridge that we go through on our journey is the Charing Cross Railway Bridge. Either side of the railway bridge there are 2 walkways, and an old tradition here in London, because it's the last bridge that we go through, an old tradition is to wave and smile to the people on the bridge. If you can get a wave back off of somebody, it is said to bring you luck. So how are we feeling? Sociable? There's not many people up there, so I don't think your luck's going to be too great today, folks, but there you go. You can hear the captain blowing the horn there. Are they waving? There we go, folks. That's 5 years of good luck. So, keep waving. There is a bridge on the other side. If they don't wave back, don't worry. It just means that they're from London and they're miserable like the rest of us. Nice people up there today, look. Through the bridge, most people tend to look straight at the London Eye, but there's a lovely building to our right here, folks. This Gothic style building is Whitehall Court Mansions, and that building houses the 5-star Horse Guards Hotel. Very nice old building there, Whitehall Court. As I mentioned it, there to the left, we can't miss it, London's top tourist attraction, the London Eye. 450 feet high, the wheel takes half an hour to go around, and that will cost just under £20 to make that trip. Since opening, the London Eye has carried over 50 million people and also carried out over 100 wedding ceremonies. You can get married on the London Eye. Now gentlemen, pay attention, because if you did want to get married on the London Eye, it only costs £3,000. Much cheaper than a church, I would imagine. The whole process, now that starts when you board at the bottom. On the way to the top, you go through your vows. Rather romantically, they don't normally, but rather romantically, they will stop the London Eye. Those magical words are said, you are husband and wife. you may kiss the bride, and then it's all downhill from there. Only till you get to the bottom and run off as the happy couple. But that is proving very popular, folks. Weddings on the London Eye. I think they might have done it, as I said, they've started a bit of competition now with the shard of glass. So yeah, I think they want to get as many people on as possible doing different things. Now with the weather being, it's a bit overcast over there, but look to your left, through the legs of the London Eye, and you might actually see the shard of glass somewhere in the background there. There it is, look, you can just see the top of it over there to your left. Just shows you how much of a bend we've come round in the river. You don't really notice at the time, but we've come round a massive bend in the river, and there you can see the shard of glass back on your left. Now to the right, ladies and gents, this is our destination, Westminster Pier, and we will go alongside the pier very shortly. Before we do so, the last buildings that I'll mention today, what I think are the nicest buildings in London. There we have the Houses of Parliament and of course Big Ben. Now throughout the world we all call the clock tower Big Ben, although it has got an official name, and that name was changed last year. It was known as the Great Clock of Westminster, but the name has been changed now to the Elizabeth Tower, and that was to celebrate the Queen's 60th year on the throne, her Diamond Jubilee. The name Big Ben is given to the bell, and that's inside the tower. That bell strikes the hour, and the hour only. The bell was named after the Commissioner of Works at the time, Sir Benjamin Hall. Although one of London's best kept secrets is that his name wasn't Benjamin, that was his middle name. His first name was Richard Benjamin Hall. But for some reason they couldn't call the bell Big Rich. I don't know why, but they decided not to. I'm glad to see there's a few people on my wavelength today anyway. It's a bloody long day so far. Now look to the right of Big Ben, folks. A building that I would highly recommend visiting. You can see from here is a very nice old building, Westminster Abbey. It's only a 5-minute walk away. It's just basically straight across the roundabout. Don't walk across the roundabout, walk around it, okay? But that is our Westminster Abbey, where all the kings and queens have been crowned over the years. Many royal weddings and funerals have taken place inside that building. Very, very nice old building. Also, you can't see it from the river, but on the outside of the Parliament building, there's lots of detail to that building. Around the outside, there's different coats of badges all the way along the outside here, and that's for all the different reigning monarchs over the years. There's also a Latin inscription that goes around the building. So it's too much detail that you can't see from the river. So I'd highly recommend walking around that building to have a closer look. Right, well there we go, ladies and gents. What we're going to do now is start making our way alongside Westminster Pier. As we do this, it is very important, please, for everybody's safety, if you could just remain in your seats until the boat is safely tied up, okay? Boats haven't got brakes, they do sometimes, but there was quite a bad accident last week. A gentleman fell over and split his head, so it's very important, please remain in your seats just until we are safely tied up. Also, if you're looking for the bus stop, just behind the pier here to the right on the main road is where the buses go to continue your tour. If you want to get off and catch a later boat, they are every 15 minutes. The last one leaves in an hour, at 6:30, okay? That's the last boat back. Do mind the step when you get off, ladies and gents. If there is anybody that has difficulty going up steps, wait till last, okay? As people get off the boat lifts up out of the water and there won't be so much of a step, okay? So if you do have difficulty, wait till last and it'll be a lot easier for you. Also, now I'd like to thank you all for your very kind attention. It's very crowded on board, folks. I do appreciate your patience, so thanks for listening. And if I may, just the last few words, a quick mention about the commentary given. Now, as I said earlier, folks, we're not tour guides on the boat. We are watermen and lightermen. We are here for the safety. As I said earlier, our licences date back over 400 years. Now, throughout those years, it has become a bit of a tradition. What we do throughout the day is pass on some local knowledge, and hopefully it makes the trip more interesting and less of a mystery tour. Hopefully I've done that today. Now folks, because these commentaries are done voluntary, there is a bit of an old custom or an old tradition in London. If anybody on the boat has understood or maybe even enjoyed the few words that I have given, if you would like to show any voluntary appreciation for my efforts as a guide, I couldn't deny you the opportunity. So you will get the chance to, when you step off the boat, now you will see me at the gates, I will of course be helping you off, you'll see me holding the old ice bucket, the old tip bucket. Anything that goes into our bucket is greatly appreciated. It is only your generosity that keeps us, the crews on this river, doing the commentaries. And as I did say folks, it is only your generosity. It is all done voluntary. You are under no obligation whatsoever to put anything in the bucket, but every little helps. Other than that, ladies and gents, I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much for listening. Don't let the weather put you off here in London. God save the Queen, and goodbye. But thanks a lot for your very kind attention. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Attach it to it.